August 6, 1945, dawned like any other summer morning in Hiroshima. The city, a bustling port and military center, stirred to life under a clear blue sky. The air was thick with humidity, a familiar feeling in the heart of a Japanese summer. Citizens went about their daily routines, unaware that their lives were about to change forever. Shopkeepers opened their stores, children chased each other through the streets, and mothers prepared breakfast for their families. In the homes and on the streets, life went on, oblivious to the terrible fate that awaited them. The horrors of war seemed distant, a world away from the peaceful rhythm of life in Hiroshima. Although Japan had been at war for years, the fighting had largely spared the city. Hiroshima remained untouched, a symbol of normalcy in a nation consumed by conflict. The residents carried with them a quiet hope for peace, a hope that was soon to be shattered. At 8:15 a.m., a blinding flash ripped through the morning sky. The citizens of Hiroshima, going about their daily lives, looked up in unison at the sudden, unexpected brilliance. It wasn't the sun, no. This light was different, alien, a terrifying spectacle that defied explanation. The light intensified, morphing into a giant fireball, a monstrous sun born in the blink of an eye. The American B-29 bomber, the Enola Gay, had dropped its deadly payload. The uranium bomb, codenamed Little Boy, detonated 1,900 feet above the city. It unleashed a force equivalent to 15,000 tons of TNT, instantly transforming Hiroshima into a raging inferno. The heat wave, traveling at the speed of light, engulfed everything in its path. Buildings vaporized, their shadows etched into the ground. People were reduced to dust, their outlines imprinted on walls in a grotesque mockery of life. The blast wave, a silent, invisible wall of pressure, roared outward from the hypercenter at unimaginable speed. It pulverized concrete structures, tossed heavy machinery like toys, and hurled people through the air like rag dolls. The air crackled with the screams of the dying and the injured. Those who survived the initial blast found themselves trapped in a living nightmare. The world around them had transformed into a hellscape of fire and debris. The heat was so intense that it melted glass and metal, fusing them together in grotesque shapes. The air, thick with dust and smoke, was difficult to breathe, stinging the lungs with each gasp. Amidst the chaos and destruction, a strange black rain began to fall, a toxic cocktail of radioactive fallout that contaminated everything it touched. The rain, a grim harbinger of the long-term consequences to come, painted a chilling picture of invisible death. In the aftermath, Hiroshima was a scene of unimaginable devastation. The once vibrant city lay in ruins, its heart ripped out and pulverized by the atomic fire. Buildings were reduced to rubble, their skeletal remains casting eerie shadows in the eerie silence. The streets, once bustling with life, were now littered with debris and the bodies of the dead. The air, thick with the stench of burning flesh and smoldering wood, was heavy with death. The lucky ones were already gone, vaporized in an instant. The unlucky ones clung to life, their bodies ravaged by burns, radiation sickness, and unimaginable pain. Hospitals, overwhelmed and ill-equipped, struggled to cope with the scale of the disaster. Doctors and nurses, many of them injured themselves, worked tirelessly, but they were fighting a losing battle against an enemy they could not see or comprehend. Section 5. The Shadow of Death. The human cost of the bombing was staggering. An estimated 70,000 people died instantly, vaporized in the blink of an eye. Countless others perished in the days and weeks that followed, succumbing to their injuries, radiation sickness, and the horrific burns that covered their bodies. The true death toll will never be known, as many bodies were never recovered, lost in the rubble or vaporized by the intense heat. The living envied the dead. Survivors, scarred both physically and emotionally, faced a lifetime of suffering. Many were plagued by cancers and other illnesses caused by radiation exposure. Others bore the invisible scars of psychological trauma, haunted by the horrors they had witnessed. The atomic bomb had cast a long shadow, a shadow that would continue to haunt Hiroshima for generations to come. Section 6. A calculated decision. The decision to drop the atomic bomb on Hiroshima was a complex one, mired in the fog of war and shaped by a confluence of factors. The United States, locked in a brutal war with Japan, believed that the bomb was the only way to force a swift and unconditional surrender. The fighting in the Pacific had been particularly fierce, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. The invasion of Japan, which seemed inevitable at the time, was projected to result in millions of casualties on both sides. President Truman, facing the agonizing decision of whether to use this terrifying new weapon, believed that the bomb, for all its horror, would ultimately save lives by bringing a swift end to the war. Section 7. The Second Blow and Surrender. 3 days after Hiroshima, the United States dropped a second atomic bomb, this time on the city of Nagasaki. The plutonium bomb, codenamed Fat Man, caused further devastation and loss of life, driving home the terrifying power of these new weapons. Faced with the unimaginable destruction inflicted by the atomic bombs and the entry of the Soviet Union into the war, Emperor Hirohito made the agonizing decision to surrender. On August 15, 1945, Japan announced its unconditional surrender, bringing an end to World War II. The war was over, but the world had crossed a terrifying threshold, entering the atomic age with a mix of fear and uncertainty. Section 8. Scars that never fade. The legacy of Hiroshima is forever etched in the annals of human history, a stark reminder of the devastating power of nuclear weapons. For the survivors known as Hibakusha, the memories of that fateful day remain vivid, their lives forever altered by the horrors they witnessed. Many Hibakusha faced discrimination and prejudice, their scars a visible reminder of the bombing. They carried the physical and emotional scars of that day, living testaments to the enduring impact of nuclear war. Yet from the ashes of destruction, a powerful message of peace emerged. The Hibakusha, transformed into reluctant activists, dedicated their lives to sharing their stories and advocating for nuclear disarmament. Their courage and resilience stand as a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity. Section 9. Hiroshima's Legacy, a Beacon for Peace. Today, Hiroshima stands as a symbol of both the horrors of nuclear war and the enduring hope for peace. The Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park, built on the site of the bombing, serves as a poignant reminder of the devastation and a solemn call for a world free of nuclear weapons. The skeletal remains of the Genbaku Dome, once the Hiroshima Prefectural Industrial Promotion Hall, rise from the park, a stark symbol of the destructive power of the atomic bomb. It stands as a silent sentinel, a reminder of the day the world changed forever. Hiroshima's legacy is a complex one, a tapestry woven from tragedy, resilience, and the enduring human spirit. It is a legacy that compels us to remember the past, learn from its mistakes, and work tirelessly for a future where the horrors of August 6, 1945 are never repeated. The world must never forget Hiroshima, for in its ashes lies the hope for a more peaceful tomorrow.